Eezox is the ultimate gun care product. It will clean, lubricate, and protect your firearms, as well as enhancing the appearance of them. One of the biggest questions I get asked is how to actually use Eezox. So what I want to do is take this firearm today, disassemble it, and step you through how I use the Eezox product. First and foremost, before I disassemble this firearm, and before you should conduct any firearms maintenance at your home or at your workbench, is making sure that the firearm is unloaded and safe. Now that we've got the firearm disassembled, we're actually going to start the cleaning process with Eezox. And it's a relatively simple process to do. There's nothing that needs to be done in preparation for using Eezox. Eezox is the only product you need to use to clean the firearm. The process is simple. Take Eezox, apply it to all metal components like you would, and in whatever method you prefer cleaning it in, whether you're using Q-tips, whether you're using bore brushes, toothbrushes, whatever it is. The first step that I do is I wet down every part. I'm going to wet down the outside of the parts. I just like putting a little Eezox on some of these cleaning patches. I'm going to make sure all the metal components, anywhere that carbon's going to build up, or any environmental things such as dust or dirt are going to build up, and I'm going to wet them down with Eezox. I'm going to wet the barrel. I'm going to run some wet patches down the barrel in the chamber, leaving it wet. While that's sitting, because that's going to be a key factor, is allowing that to sit on there wet, I'm going to move on to the next component with the slide. I'm going to wipe down the entire outside of the slide. I'm going to get some Eezox on some Q-tips. I'm going to wipe down any of the inside areas where there's friction, moving parts, or that carbon's going to build up, especially on the face where you see the firing pin protruding through, or anywhere you're actually seeing the buildup taking place. Now, once it's been wiped down and it's wet, let it sit for about a minute, then go back to the first component or first part that you started cleaning. Eezox is set on there wet for a minute, it's done its job. It's actually breaking down that carbon and everything else. Now you can move on to wiping it down, running more patches down the barrel. With the slide, any of those moving parts or any of those parts that you saw carbon build up, once Eezox sat on those parts for a few minutes, go ahead and wipe it off. And that's pretty much how the cleaning process is going to work. You're going to apply it wet, let it sit, let it do its job, and then you're going to clean it off. So you've used Eezox to clean the firearm. You've removed carbon, you've removed buildup. One thing to remember about Eezox, and the most critical aspect to using it, is you're not going to leave it on the firearm for long periods of time or any period of time wet. It is a dry lubricant. What do we mean by dry lubricant is don't think like graphite or something that's a powdery form. Dry lubricant meaning you're going to use it wet on the firearm to clean it and lubricate it, then you're going to wipe it completely dry. It'll be dry to the touch. It's leaving a microscopic layer in there that's going to continue to protect your firearm and allow it to function properly. We've used Eezox to clean the steel components of our firearm. One thing I want you to know, and it's a proven fact with Eezox, being synthetic and not petroleum based, it's safe to use on stainless steel. It's safe to use on polymer frames. It's safe to use on aluminum that may be Cerakoted or any kind of painted surfaces. Being synthetic, you don't have to worry about any finishes being harmed by using Eezox to clean not only the steel components, but all components of your firearms. One of the most overlooked aspects of firearms maintenance is the magazine. Without a properly functioning magazine, your weapons platform or your firearm is not going to function. Now, on most labels of cleaning products that we've seen or that we've used, there's a specific warning that says do not use on components that are going to come in contact with ammunition. There's a reason for that. That main reason is they're petroleum based. If that petroleum based product gets to the primer or any other component of the ammunition, it's going to fail. Eezox is fully synthetic. We do not have that problem. And I guarantee you're going to notice a difference with the performance and the function of your firearm when you've actually cleaned your magazines. Disassemble them, clean the inside, wipe down the springs. Just like we talked about earlier, it's a dry lubricant, so you're not going to leave it wet in there. Wipe it dry and don't worry about the polymer or other plastic components of the magazine like the follower or the base. Magazine maintenance is essential and can be done with Eezox. Inside that magazine well is just a breeding ground for dust, dirt, grime, all kinds of factors that when you've gone to extract the magazine or release the magazine, you're going to notice that it's going to stick. It's not going to fully come out. That's because with petroleum-based products, unlike Eezox that's synthetic, we were told not to clean the magazines. You're going to notice a world of difference when you perform proper magazine maintenance and actually using Eezox on your magazines, that when you go to release them, they're actually going to release. Now that I've cleaned and lubricated the inside of the firearm and reassembled it, I want to talk about Eezox as a protectant on the outside of your firearm. Just like we did with the metal components on the inside, I'll take a little bit of Eezox on a rag or on my fingers. I'm going to apply it to the outside surfaces. I'm going to let it sit for a minute, and then I'm going to wipe it dry to the touch. That's going to protect the outside surfaces of my firearm. Especially has come in handy in law enforcement, where I've had it holstered for long periods of time, to be in extreme dry and extreme wet conditions. The protectant and the layer I'm putting on the outside of the firearm is going to protect it and allow it to function. One of the added benefits that I found with Eezox, unlike any other product, is the luster and sheen you're also going to get from using Eezox. It's kind of an added benefit, the newer look and the cleaner look you're going to have with your firearm. But most importantly, it's going to be protecting that exterior surface. Eezox is a product I've used for over 30 years. I was first introduced to it when I was about 10 years old, when I was learning how to properly care for and maintain my firearms. It is the only product I use on all of my firearms to clean, lubricate, and protect, simply because it works. I've joked and laughed with people for years when I've introduced them to Eezox that it was the best kept secret in the firearms industry, which ironically is rapidly changing as more and more people find out about the benefits of using it on their firearms.